I'm telling you, when he gets on, you're gonna want to condemn it tomorrow. All right, I want to be condemned.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sunshine notice, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Board of Commissioners, public meeting Tuesday, April 6, 2020. The time is now 7:13. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, notice of this meeting was published in the December 3rd, 2020 issues of the Nutley Sun, Herald News, Star Ledger, and Tap into Nutley. A copy of this notice has been posted on the Nutley Town Hall Bulletin Board, and a copy is on file in the municipal clerk's office. Due to multiple executive orders declared by Governor Murphy and to prevent further spread of COVID-19 pandemic, all public meetings for the year 2021 will be held remotely via Zoom or teleconference. The public will be able to listen to the Board of Commissioners meeting and participate during the designated public comment portions of the meeting by utilizing access through a URL link or dial-in numbers provided by the Township website. Commissioner Kelly.
Present.
Commissioner Evans. Commissioner Petracco.
Here.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Here.
Mayor Tucci.
Here.
All present, Mayor.
Thank you. I see we have minutes for March 2nd, 2021.
Move it.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. We now have a need for an executive session before our discussion and presentation. I get a motion?
Move. Second.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas the public body is of the opinion that such circumstances recently exist. And whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Nutley in the County of Essex and State of New Jersey desires to proceed to close executive session. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners, Township of Nutley, move into closed executive session to discuss
Contract negotiations.
contract negotiations. Be it further resolved at the time when such discussion may be disclosed to the public shall be when and such disclosure may be made without adversely affecting the Township of Nutley, pending and or anticipated legal, personnel, contractual matters, and other matters within the exceptions provided for by statute. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
The time is now 7:15.
Thank you. Gentlemen, shall we retreat to the back room? And we are back. I'd like to turn the discussion over to Commissioner Evans for the 2021 municipal budget presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, by statute, we need to introduce our municipal budget for the 2021. I have a concise slide presentation that will provide supplemental information to make the state budget document easier to follow and easier to understand what is happening in town. The state budget document is very involved. It has a lot of detail and it's structured for state purposes. By doing this presentation, I think it just makes the budget a little bit more user-friendly and it provides more transparency around what is happening at the municipal level with regard to our finances. So we're going to walk through this. Sal, would you flip? Thank you. The first slide that I'm going to show you is a one-page summary of the budget. If you look at this and you look at the description column, the first line is our total operating cost excluding transitional state aid. As you can see, we need to spend at this time $57,043,000, which is a $722,000 increase over the prior year, or 1.28%. Right now, our TSA allocation is down by $314,146, and that's the portion that is allocated to the school and the county. We are not able to include that in our budget as there's a statutory limitation. And those negotiations are pending with the state, which we should have a better understanding of the outcome within the next month to 45 days. So on a net basis, our operating costs are going up $408,493 or 0.7% to $58,823,000. What's most significant in our budget this year that's affecting us is the loss of revenue. And that's a decrease of $1,694,000 and change, which basically is the most significant driver. The impact of that is driven by basically a couple of major things. One is, in order to zero out our tax increase last year, we reversed the reserve, which was a one-time revenue equivalent for $1,146,000. We don't have that revenue coming back this year. We don't have a source for that revenue to offset it. So we're seeing lower revenues that are available to lower our operating costs as we did last year. Another factor in there is that since we only can anticipate 85% of the aid that we received in 2020, which was $3,250,000, there is a further adjustment of revenue to reflect that statutory limitation of $487,000. And we've had the benefit for the last few years of receiving a grant for our police department, which expired this year, which is another $157,000 that drives that. So those are the three main drivers that why we have less revenue. In total, because of less revenue and our increase in operating costs, we have a need to raise taxpayer funding, sourced funding by $2,103,000, which is roughly as a 5% increase over last year. Recognize that there wasn't an increase in 20, so this is a substantial increase. The commissioners and I, we held discussion on this, and I want to share with you that this is a statutory introduction of our budget, but universally, none of the commissioners agree that this 5% increase will be something that we can afford to pass on to our taxpayers. So we have more work to do before we have a public hearing and adoption of our budget. And I expect that this number will go down. But as of tonight, what's in our budget, it's a $2.1 million increase that is required. We expect to work on that very hard and lower that amount. If you flip to the next page, Sal. To help understand what's driving our budget, I articulated on the next couple of pages some of the things that significantly influence the township and might be on taxpayers' minds. The first is that this budget does not have any significant impact as a result of COVID-19. We were able to receive so far 1.1 million in reimbursements under the Federal CARES Act. There's another 467,000 pending with FEMA, which we will learn about later in the year. But this budget does not include major cost increases associated with COVID-19. We were very fortunate. The other thing that you may have heard about is the Save America plan, which is the new federal stimulus money. Nutley is allocated $2.7 million of that. Unfortunately, none of that money can be used for direct tax relief. It will have a use and will be guided as to what things it could be used for, such as economic recovery activities, some capital improvements. But as of right now, we don't know what those what's going to be allowable. The regulations haven't been released. Transitional aid. So far we've had some significant success in that we were able to convert 1.8 million of our temporary aid now into permanent aid. So the negotiations with the state right now are not for 3.2 million in temporary aid, but for 1.4 million in temporary aid. And those discussions are still pending. I've already explained our lower revenues. And the other thing you'll see a slide in here is that given some of the changes that were made in the water utility directed by Commissioner Scarpelli, the water utility operations remain very stable and that we do not anticipate any rate adjustments for this year. Flip the page. A new item that many of you already know about is the need for the township to take over responsibility for emergency rescue services within the Department of Public Safety. The net cost of that this year on the initial transition is an increase in spending of about $203,500. Commissioner Petracco has been very clear that he is working very hard and that this is a transition starting point and that he expects to reduce those costs going forward. But as of right now, they will affect the 2021 budget. Additional items in this budget that are temporary in nature is related to our areas around redevelopment and some of the legal costs that we're incurring as a result. In total right now, that's about $960,000. We believe many of these costs will be reimbursable from our redevelopers as we continue to do business with them and future redevelopers. But right now, it is a temporary uptick in spending, which we expect to get reimbursed. Mayor Tucci and the commissioners, we've all talked about really working with all of our consultants, our attorneys, to see if we can try and reduce that number for this year. But we're going to give that a hard look. But right now, that's the number. One of the pluses that we can anticipate in this budget is the effect that we will have of redevelopment in town. When On3 advances and there's new development, when we actually convert Ciccolinis into another use and there's other areas, that will generate new revenue opportunity for the town. But it will likely hit us more in the 2023 and 2024 timeframe, which will be a benefit. Another item here which is significant in that this budget does not anticipate a salary increase for 2021. There are some items that are specific to our contracts, such as union steps, the cost of the rescue squad, some limited effects of overtime, which is a minor part of it. But this particular line item, it has a risk associated to it in that it is saving us approximately $645,000 in this budget. But the negotiations with the unions for police, fire, the dispatchers, the Teamsters, Parks, in Parks and Rec and DPW, that's all pending. So there's a variable here. I can't quantify what that variable is, but our firm stance is that we will be negotiating for a zero increase this year. Addition is that last year we initiated a new hire freeze as well as a quarantine on non-essential spending. That quarantine and that freeze will continue into 2021 to help stabilize our cost. It will allow for open positions, replacements because of retirements and an evaluation of what those needs are. But if those things need to be made where there's an open position, it does allow that, but it does not allow an increase in headcount. If you go to the next page. Another thing that most towns have to look at closely and keep tight control over is what could happen if we borrow money and we don't spend it wisely. Nutley is very fortunate in that we are very careful about our capital spending and our capital spending plan. Each year when you hear us talk about the capital budget and what's in that capital budget, all of that is authorized debt that periodically, which is generally every 5 years, gets rolled up into a bond offering because the previous bond offering is expiring. The Nutley debt is going down. Payment, our debt service on our debt is going down by $378,000 for 21, which is a significant decrease in our overall debt requirements. That's being driven by the fact that our debt is 17.1 million, which is 10% of our borrowing capacity. So as a municipality under state statute, if we had to, we would have a need to borrow up to $140 million. We will never get there unless it's a very targeted action for the benefit of the town. Our normal operating capital will keep us in this 17 million pattern, and I don't see that changing. What also helps us is that we have a very strong bond rating. It's a AA2. Moody's rates us above average for local municipalities. That keeps us well positioned. Tonight we will talk about it, but we were able to issue a bond, sell a bond in the marketplace last Thursday for almost $7 million. It's a 10-year bond and it carries an interest rate of 1.16%. So it's down quite a bit. So you can see that it's very favorable, our financing. We also have a 1-year note, which is roughly 1.4 million. And we secure that note today at 0.35%, right? 1/3 of a percentage point. So the rates are very favorable for us because our bond rating is very strong. But overall, our debt is down. The other thing that also influences what happens to our tax dollars is what happens to our assessed value. Our current assessed value is $3.2 billion for 2021, and it's an increase over 20 of $11.9 million. Whenever there's improvements that go on in town, the permits are taken out in the code department and the assessor looks at those as added assessments. The combined activity associated with that for the past year increased assessed values 11.9 million. One event that's pending, and some people have asked about this, is the fact that we do still need to revalue the town. We are under order by the Essex County Board of Taxation to physically inspect all commercial and residential property. We've been under that order since 2019. We've delayed it because of COVID activities last year, but we are being asked and pressured to continue to start those inspections. I expect that they'll start sometime in the June timeframe and will be completed this summer. Any changes in tax bills arising from individual tax bills arising from that revaluation will be known in your final bills for 2022. So next year, that we'll know the answer to that. A question that always comes up with revaluation, if the valuation of the town goes up a lot, the tax rate doesn't stay the same, it comes down. So we don't generate new tax dollars from a revaluation. It just changes the mix on how tax dollars are allocated based upon the assessed value of individual property. You'll hear me talk about that and repeat that many times as we go through this process. If we flip the page, I've talked to a lot about this. I've raised what's already on this slide, but here's a revenue slide. Then one slide summarizes what's happening and the most significant factors that are influencing our budget. I encourage you to take a look at it. Note that again, here it shows our new permanent aid of 1.8 million. It shows what we've budgeted in additional TSA of 962,000 and the fact that we have to wait on the balance of $487,000. I've already discussed the changes in revenue and the COPS grant as it affects revenue. And this ties into the very first slide. So they're all linked so you can see the change. The next slide. Next slide summarizes our operating costs and the changes in operating costs. As you can see, our salaries are going up without an overnight salary increase for 2021. But public safety salaries are going up 407,000, primarily because we're adding in the cost of salaries to operate the rescue squad. Commissioner Tucci undertook a significant activity last year that was pending, and it was completed last year, and his salaries are down by $157,000. DPW salaries reflect the cost of steps, and public affairs is currently related to overtime, but Commissioner Kelly has plans to look at and revisit that number. In revenue and finance, it's up $12,000 because what we've been paying our payroll person, which is an open position I'm trying to recruit for, the market is demanding more money for someone to fill that position. The mayor's office is $2,000. The mayor has already raised the need to look at these salary areas and see what we can do to find a way to zero those out somewhere by absorbing it somewhere in the budget. We all have agreed to take a look at that. When you look at the operating expense side, other than salaries, our sewer charges have gone up $73,000. Pension costs, as you can see, it's police and fire are up $365,000. All other pensions are down by $15,000. O&E for the rescue squad is $116,000. I already mentioned that our legal fees and redevelopment costs are short-term and temporary, but they are an increasing, and combined it's $375,000. A major continuing benefit to the town is taking a hard look at our medical insurance, which is down another $314,000. This medical insurance has been down, and Mayor, if I'm correct, it's been going down for the last 3 years, right, as a trend. So if you look at that over the last 3 years, the medical insurance, I believe, is down over $1 million. So it's significant work that continues to be done there. We have a small change in our garbage costs. As I said, we've been looking very hard, and in my office, we've been looking very hard. Our debt service, it's down by $378,000. We've had an increase in recycling and some of our software licensing costs, which combined is about $121,000. So in total, our operating cost for expenses other than salaries, with the pluses and the minuses, is up $378,000. Again, in the total cost change area, you can see that the summary of $722,000 and the $314,000 for TSA netting to the 408, which ties out exactly to the summary schedule on the first page. I've added in the water utility. This slide actually shows a trend which I thought would be beneficial. And as you can see, for 20 and 21, the water utility is cost neutral. We're raising enough revenue to pay for the operating costs of the department. So therefore, the utility is stable. There's no short-term deficit that has to be funded by the operating budget. And a few years ago, we just haven't had to do that right now. Each of the areas in the budget are laid out and you can see, but overall, the trend has been to keep the costs in the water utility very stable, as you note, from 19, 20, and 21. They're up from 14, but it's a significant interval to stabilize costs. So I think we're doing well with the water utility at this point. I already addressed debt service, but I wanted to put it up here on a slide so you can graphically see, even though our debt's at 17.1 million, it's actually 1.3 million lower than what it was in 2015. Our bond rating, as I said, is above average. It's AA2. And we have significant borrowing ability in the event we had to do that. But again, we will control that. And if you were to look at our overall debt and just summarize it as a mortgage, right now, our mortgage is 1.99% over 10 years, which I would personally like to have myself. So I think we're doing our best to continue to control our funding and our debt requirements. And we will continue to do that. I think the capital plan that's been in place for several years has been actually enabled us to do things that a lot of towns struggle with. We've been able to purchase our fire engines. We've been able to replace equipment. We've been able to do work on our sewers and our roads, and we will continue to do that. In summary, this budget will be subject to approval by the state, given our transitional aid discussions. I expect that approval won't come until sometime in the June timeframe. We will, by statute, have a public hearing on the budget on May 4th, but on that night, we will not adopt the budget. We will do the public hearing, but we're going to have to continue to work with the state to get an approval date. This presentation, as well as the full budget document, will be up on the website by the morning of April 8th. Overall, that's our budget presentation. And as I said in the beginning, it's a 5.02% increase. However, universally, we are committed to getting that number down. Mayor?
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for that comprehensive review of the 2021 budget. As the Commissioner stated, tonight and a little later on, we will be introducing this budget due to a statutory requirement, but I nor any of the other commissioners, agree with the increase as it's presented this evening. And this is the very beginning steps of what will be a very difficult, but a very comprehensive budget review so that we can get to a place where that is much more reasonable and affordable for our people. Commissioners, any other comments?
I think you said it best, Mayor. It's a work in progress. We're going to sharpen our pencils. And as presented right now, I don't think it's acceptable to any of us. So,
Commissioner Petracco?
I ditto everyone's comments so far, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Just gonna agree with everyone's comments so far. Just bear with us, folks. COVID is a very fluid situation, and especially with the health department, it's very tough to forecast some of these issues out. But I'm gonna take another look at it and see if I can cut that number down even smaller.
Thank you, Commissioner. And thank you again, Commissioner Evans, for that presentation.
Thank you.
Well done. Okay, moving right along. I see we have no proclamations this evening. Reports, Commissioner Scarpelli?
thank you, Mayor. I have multiple monthly reports for the DPW.
Thank you. And I have a shade tree report for the month of March. Going to bills, Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. Bill list for April 6, 2021. Public Affairs, $83,081.36. Revenue and Finance, $10,194,994.97. Public Safety, $144,889.03. Public Works, $131,219.67. Parks and Public Property, $684,706.74. Water Utility, $169,457.48. Payroll as of March 19, 2021, $927,800.70. Overtime payroll total, $40,525.33. COVID-19 overtime payroll total, $5,683.18. Total payroll, $974,009.21, for a grand total of $12,382,358.46.
Move the bills.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
And that's it for bills, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank
We will now entertain public comment on agenda items only.
All persons addressing the Board of Commissioners regarding community concerns should provide their name and address for the record. Unless further time is granted by the board, each person shall limit their address to 3 minutes. All remarks to the board and its individual members must be addressed to the mayor. There's one person.
Mayor Tucci, Rory Moore, 462 Chestnut Street. On the bill list, first page. I'm trying to get it out. WB Manson, I believe it is. I believe it's under Mr. Evans's group. We charge 69 cents 3 or 4 times. What was the 69 cents for?
Mr. Evans?
I have no idea.
And $1.30, 69 cents 3 times and $1.38, I believe it is. I have it. I just can't see it right this second. I'm trying to get my views there.
I honestly, Rory, given the budget presentation, I didn't worry about those. I don't have an answer, but I can get it to you.
Thank you.
Is that it, Mr. Moore?
That's it.
Thank you. You have a good night. Okay, moving right along. Board of Commissioner announcements. Commissioner Evans.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have a few. One is I just need to have for the record, I said before, we had a bond sale on April 13th and closed a $6,960,000 bond at 1.16% over 10 years. It's 1% for the first 6 years. It rises in the last 4, but it's on average 1.16, and it's a 10-year bond. And on April 6th, which is today, we sold, and we'll have the closing on April 15th, our 1-year bond anticipation note for $1,294,000 at a 1-year rate of 0.35%. Those I just need to acknowledge those in the record. Just a couple other quick things. April 1st, we had the mobile DMV unit here for first responders. It was a very successful day. The good news is that they've tentatively agreed to come back for the general public on April 29th. Mayor Al, thanks for your support. We can't do this without you guys, everybody chipping in as we always do. And just thank you to the clerk for staying on top of the DMV and making sure they come back and help us. John, I don't want to steal your thunder. You have the rabies clinic coming up. I just wanted to point out that we will be doing license renewals, at that time. And this year we'll be able to accept credit cards. In the past, it was cash or check, but this year we'll be able to do credit cards. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kelly.
I don't have any real announcements. As Commissioner Evans pointed out, we do have the rabies clinic coming up later this month. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Scarpelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Just an announcement, we'll be having our annual shredding day, which we did not have last year until the fall, but we're going back to our April date, and it'll be a no contact shredding day. We just drop your material and we'll guarantee it's shredded and safely disposed of.
Fantastic. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Petracco.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a very nice story to announce to everyone. I was contacted by a 73-year-old disabled widow who did not receive her stimulus check, and she was the only one in her household who did not, and she was looking forward to getting it, and I'm sure she needed it. I contacted Congresswoman Sherrill's office, and they were able to help her, and I just want to thank the Congresswoman and her staff for all of their help. Well done. Thank you. Okay, this evening we have 3 ordinance introductions. We'll start with Commissioner Evans.
Thank you, Mayor. I have every year for the budget, we introduce our cap bank ordinance. This is ordinance number 3443. I move that this ordinance be passed to a second reading and advertised in the Nutley Sun together with the notice required by law, and that further consideration of said ordinance for final passage by the Board of Commissioners be held at its second reading on May 4th, 2021. So move.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
My second one is not, it's not an ordinance, but it's actually the budget introduction resolution, which I'll cover at this point in time, Mayor, if that's okay. Municipal budget of the Township of Nutley, County of Essex for the fiscal year 2021. Be resolved that the following statements of revenue and appropriation shall constitute the municipal budget for the year 2021. Be it further resolved that said budget be published in the Nutley Sun in the issue of April 15th, 2021. The governing body of the Township of Nutley does hereby approve the budget introduction for 2021. So move.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Scarpelli, you have an ordinance introduction?
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 3470, ordinance providing for Washington Avenue roadway improvement project in the Township of Nutley in the County of Essex, New Jersey, appropriating $426,702, therefore from grant monies received from the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the cost thereof. I move that this ordinance be passed to a second reading, advertised in the Nutley Sun together with the notice required by law, and that further consideration of said ordinance for final passage by the Board of Commissioners to be held at its second reading on May 4th, 2021. I move the ordinance.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. Thank you,
Mayor, I
Commissioner.
have one ordinance that.
Yes, Commissioner, I was not forgetting you, Commissioner Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I have an ordinance for introduction that due to some technical issues was not on the agenda. However, it was circulated amongst all the commissioners. This is an ordinance to amend an ordinance codified in the Code of the Township of Nutley, Chapter 217, entitled Animals. It just clarifies some guidelines regarding pet shop and licensing guidelines. I move that this ordinance be passed to the second reading and advertised in the Nutley Sun together with notice required by law, and that further consideration of said ordinance for final passage by the Board of Commissioners be held at its second reading on May 4th, 2021. So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. Thank you, Commissioner. Tonight, we have 2 ordinances, 2 public hearings on ordinances. The first one was introduced by Commissioner Scarpelli and myself on March 2nd. And this is an ordinance to fix the salaries of certain officers and employees of the Township of Nutley, the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, effective January 1, 2020. And this is for Teamsters Local 97 that covers the Department of Public Works and Water and the Department of Parks and Public Property. I hereby certify that this public hearing and ordinance have been advertised in full in the Nutley Sun issue of March 2nd, 2021, and a copy was posted on the Township of Nutley Bulletin Board, first floor Town Hall, and copies made available to all members of the general public. I will now open the public hearing.
There's no one here.
Seeing no one wishing to comment, made a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
Move the ordinance.
Second ordinance this evening is an ordinance to fix the
Just to
salary.
move the
I'm
ordinance.
sorry, please. Remove the ordinance?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. I guess I was moving a little too fast. All right. Second ordinance. This is an ordinance to fix the salaries of certain officers and employees of the Township of Nutley, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, effective January 1, 2020. And this is for our non-union employees. This was also advertised in Nutley Sun. Copy was posted on the Township Nutley Bulletin Board and Town Hall. Copies made available to all members of the general public. I will open the public hearing.
There is no one, Mayor.
There is no one. Get a motion to close the hearing?
Move.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
Move the ordinance.
I get a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. Thank you. We will move into resolutions. Commissioner Kelly?
Thank you, Mayor. The first one I have on tonight is resolution number 8521. This is, if you're not aware, April is Holocaust Remembrance Month, and this is Holocaust Remembrance Week. So this is a resolution recognizing the tragedy of the Holocaust. Whereas the Holocaust was the state-sponsored systemic persecution and annihilation of European Jewry by Nazi Germany and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945. 6 million were murdered. Roma, Gypsies, people with disabilities, and Poles were also targeted for destruction or decimation for racial, ethnic, or national reasons, and millions more, including homosexuals, Jehovah's Witnesses, Soviet prisoners of war, and political dissidents, also suffered grievous oppression and death under Nazi tyranny. Whereas the history of the Holocaust offers an opportunity to reflect on the moral responsibilities of individuals, societies, and governments. And whereas we, the people of Nutley, should always remember the terrible events of the Holocaust and remain vigilant against hatred, persecution, and tyranny. Whereas we, the people of Nutley, should actively rededicate ourselves to the principles of individual freedom in a just society. Whereas the days of remembrance have been set aside for the people of Nutley to remember the victims of the Holocaust, as well as to reflect on the need for respect of all peoples. Whereas pursuant to the Act of Congress, Public Law 96-388 on October 7th, 1980, the United States Holocaust Memorial Council designates the days of remembrance of the victims of the Holocaust to be Sunday, April 4th through Sunday, April 11th, 2021, including the Day of Remembrance known as Yom HaShoah, April 8th, 2021. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Commissioners and Township of Nutley, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the week of Sunday, April 4th through Sunday, April 11th, 2021 shall be days of remembrance in memory of the victims of the Holocaust and honors of the survivors, as well as the rescuers and liberators, and further resolve that we as citizens of Nutley should work to promote human dignity and confront hate wherever and whenever it occurs. So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
The second resolution I have on tonight is 8621. This is National Organ Donation Month. Whereas 100,000 people in the U.S. are waiting for life-saving organ transplant, nearly 4,000 are New Jersey residents, with 7 of those being Nutley residents. Whereas in 2019, over 1,000 New Jersey residents were added to the waiting list. Whereas currently nearly 1 out of every 3 people on the waiting list are over age 50. There are also 2,000 children under age 18, and almost 70,000 people, 58%, are ethnic minorities. Whereas every 10 minutes, another person is added to the waiting list, while 20 people die each day waiting for a transplant. Whereas one organ donor has the ability to save up to 8 lives, and 1 tissue donor can restore health to over 75 people. People of all ages are considered potential organ and tissue donors. Whereas April 16th, 2021 has been designated as Blue and Green Day, at which time residents are encouraged to wear blue and green to celebrate those who have been touched by the gift of life. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Commissioners in Township of Nutley, County of Essex, State of New Jersey recognize April as National Donate Life Month. Be it further resolved that the Nutley Health Department encourages all citizens to consider becoming an organ and tissue donor by placing the organ donor designation on their driver's license or state identification card, or registering online at www.donatelifenj.org and sharing this decision with their family. So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
April is also Public Health Month, which, given the current ongoing health crisis, cannot be understated this month. Whereas the week of April 5th to the 11th, 2021 is National Public Health Week, and the theme is Building Bridges to Better Health. Whereas public health is the practice of preventing disease and promoting good health within groups of people from small communities to entire countries. Whereas rather than being a single discipline, public health includes professionals from many fields with the common purpose of protecting the health of a population. These fields include emergency responders, restaurant inspectors, health educators, public policymakers, public health physicians, public health nurses, social workers, epidemiologists, nutritionists, medical and dental health practitioners. Whereas public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from the impact of a full range of health threats, including disease outbreaks such as measles, natural disasters, and disasters caused by human activity. Whereas healthy children become healthy adults, healthy kids attend school more often and perform better overall. Whereas during the National Public Health Week, focus is placed on particular public health topic. These areas are critical to our future success in creating the healthiest nation. Everyone can do their part to help. Nutley Public Health daily themes: Monday, rebuilding; Tuesday, advancing racial equity; Wednesday, strengthening community; Thursday, galvanizing climate justice; Friday, constructing COVID-19 resilience; Saturday, uplifting mental health and wellness; Sunday, elevating the essential and health workforce. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Commissioners in the Township of Nutley, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, recognize April 5th to April 11th, 2021 as National Public Health Week. Be it further resolved that Nutley Health Department encourages all residents to utilize many innovative, important, and pertinent health initiatives offered by this department to enhance and promote a healthy quality of life. So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Evans.
Thank you, Mayor. My first resolution, 7521. This resolution is for the need for legal counsel, specifically for affordable housing requirements. We are exercising the municipal right around New Jersey statute NJSA 1944A 20-5, which allows us for a professional service that qualifies to go through a non-fair and open contract process. We are engaging the law firm of Inglesino, Webster, Wiscalla, Taylor from Parsippany. With the total amount of their service subject to this resolution will not exceed $15,000. Funds are available out of our COA trust. This does not affect the operating budget, T 26909902. The firm of Webster, Wiscalla, and Taylor and Inglesino, they've complied with the business entity disclosure and pay-to-play rules. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Nutley in accordance with local public contract law to hereby authorize the mayor and clerk to execute, seal, and deliver a contract to John P. Inglesino of the firm of Inglesino, Webster, Wiscalla, and Taylor pursuant to the provisions of NJSA 19:44A-20.5 for an amount not to exceed $15,000 for the 12-month period beginning January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be published as required by law, and that the business disclosure entity certification and business entity disclosure of campaign contributions shall be placed on file with this resolution. So move.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
My next resolution, whereas NJ statutes 54:4-3.30 provides that the surviving widow of a war veteran, where the spouse of a veteran who was honorably discharged from active service in the time of war in any branch of the armed services of the United States, who have been or shall be declared disabled, connected to their wartime service, and totally disabled and permanently disabled as a result, shall receive a tax exemption. Whereas the following taxpayer has filed an application for allowance of a tax exemption with proper supporting documentation. Whereas the widow of the disabled veteran owning 50% of the property and therefore is eligible for a 50% tax exemption. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Nutley County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that Louise Filcione will be granted a 50% exemption from the payment of property taxes from April 1, 2021, and all subsequent years thereafter on the property identified Block 8004, Lot 18, known as 148 Columbia Avenue. So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
My last resolution is a temporary budget authorization to allow for the municipality to begin the operation of the emergency rescue services. The amount of this authorization is $125,606 and is allocated across general appropriations as identified in this resolution. So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Petracco.
Yes, whereas distracted driving is a serious life-threatening practice that is preventable, and whereas distracted driver can result in injuries and deaths to all road users. Whereas distracted driver occurs when drivers divert their attention away from the task of driving to focus on another activity instead. And whereas in 2018 alone, distracted driving related crashes resulted in 2,841 deaths on our nation's roads. And whereas in New Jersey, distracted driving was listed as a contributing circumstance of 54% of all motor vehicle crashes in 2018. And whereas the state of New Jersey will participate in the nationwide distracted driver 2021 crackdown from April 1st till April 30th, 2021, in an effort to raise awareness and decrease driver distractions through combination of enforcement and education. And whereas the national slogan for the campaign is "You drive, you text, you pay." And whereas a reduction of distracted driving in New Jersey will save lives on our roadways. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Board of Commissioners, Township of Nutley, and the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the Township of Nutley declares its support for the distracted driver 2021 crackdown, both locally and nationally, from April 1st to April 30th, 2021, and pledges to increase awareness of the dangers of distracting drivers. Before I move this resolution, I've been reading this resolution for some time. Obviously, phones are the biggest distraction that people use, and just to really go through this resolution and clarify that 54% of all motor vehicles crashes in 2018 in New Jersey, more than half of them was because drivers were distracted. So I move this resolution, but before I do, remember that the next time you get in your car, please use hand-free devices, things like that, because more than half of the accidents that occur in New Jersey is because of this. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Evans,
He stepped out only.
thank you. Commissioner Petracco,
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli,
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
Whereas the Township of Nutley has recently taken ownership of Nutley Emergency Volunteer Rescue Squad, will have operational and administrative responsibilities. And whereas on March 16, 2021, the Township of Nutley adopted Resolution 67-21, which authorizes the advertisement for requests for proposals for ambulance transport building services. Whereas replies to the RFP are due in the municipal clerk's office on April 7, 2021. And whereas the Township of Nutley will make determination of an award of contract to the successful bidder within 60 days after receiving said RFPs. And whereas the Nutley Volunteer Emergency Rescue Squad is currently utilizing Revenue Guard ambulance billing and claims management, ambulance services management, PO Box 720 Montalban, New Jersey for the service. And whereas the Township of Nutley has temporary need to continue the service of Revenue Guard during this 90-day interim period until such time that an award of contract is made pursuant to local public contracts law. And whereas the current contract terms with Revenue Guard will be extended to the Township of Nutley and will continue to remain in force for this 90-day period at a cost not to exceed $15,000, whereas funds are available from account 1-01-312-209 and have been certified by the Chief Financial Officer, said certification being attached to this resolution. And the two-pager. Now therefore, it be resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Nutley County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the temporary contract extension of 90 days is approved with Revenue Guard, ambulance billing and claims management, ambulance services management, PO Box 720, Montalban, New Jersey, and that the mayor and township clerk are hereby authorized to enter and sign contract extension for the Township of Nutley Board of Commissioners. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracca.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
This one, I'm just going to read by title. Resolution authorizing, this is Resolution 79-2021, resolution authorizing the Township of Nutley to accept a sub-grant award of the federal fiscal year 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant, Emergency Management Agency Assistant. I move it as written.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracca.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
Be resolved by the Board of Commissioners, Township of Nutley County, of Essex, State of New Jersey, that Karen Gittner, employee of the Department of Public Safety, be granted a medical leave of absence without pay effective March 12, 2021 through April 26, 2020. Move resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracca.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Scarpelli.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the Mandatory Source Separation and Recycling Act, Public Law 1987, Chapter 102, has established a recycling firm for which tonnage grants may be made to municipalities in order to encourage local source separation and recycling programs. And whereas it is the intent and spirit of the Mandatory Source Separation and Recycling Act to use the tonnage grants to develop new municipal recycling programs to continue to expand existing programs. And whereas such a resolution should designate the individual authorized to ensure that the application is properly completed and timely filed. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Commissioners, Township of Nutley, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the Township of Nutley hereby endorses the submission of the 2020 municipal recycling tonnage grant application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and designates Salvatore Ferraro, recycling coordinator, Township of Nutley, to ensure that this application is properly filed. And move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracca.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Whereas sealed bids were received for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration service and purchase on March 10, 2021, the Township of Nutley. And whereas Advanced Mechanical Corp., 9 Fallstrom Court, Passaic, New Jersey, was the low bidder at a service per hour rate of $80 and materials only at 5% above cost. Whereas the contract is not to exceed $90,000 and funds are available from account 1-01-508-200 in the amount of $30,000 in capital ordinance 3455A in the amount of $60,000 for services contingent upon adoption of the 2021 budget with an option to extend for 1 year and have been certified by the Chief Financial Officer, said certification being attached to this resolution. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Nutley in the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that a contract for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration service and purchase be awarded to Advanced Mechanical Corp. Effective January 1, 2021 through December 31, 2021, as per the bid specifications. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracca.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. Whereas autism is a complex neurobiological disorder which inhibits a person's ability to communicate and develop social relationships, which is often accompanied by behavioral challenges. And whereas autism affects all persons regardless of race, religion, socioeconomic status, or geography. And whereas Autism Speaks was founded in February 2005 by Bob and Suzanne Wright, grandparents of a child with autism. And whereas the mission of Autism Speaks is to change the future for all who struggle with autism spectrum disorders. And whereas Autism Speaks is dedicated to funding global biomedical research into the causes, prevention, treatments, and cure for autism, to raising public awareness about autism and its effects on individuals, families, and society, and to bring hope to all who deal with the challenges of the disorder. And whereas on April 2nd, 2021, Autism Speaks invites everyone to light it up blue by replacing outdoor lighting with blue bulbs to help raise awareness about autism. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Nutley, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, acknowledge the achievements, abilities, and needs of people with autism spectrum disorder and their families, as well as the leadership communities, especially the Township of Nutley, that take pride in recognizing and acknowledging April 2nd as World Autism Awareness Day and April as Autism Awareness Month. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Frank DeMeo, Anthony Gagliardo, and all the men and women of the Parks Department for lighting up all of our public buildings blue and all of our lampposts in Memorial Park. Whereas the Township of Nutley has a need to retain the services of an attorney who specializes in municipal land use law and policy to provide legal advice and services in connection with the township's land use policies and litigation related to Diamond Springs Pool Club. And whereas NJSA 40A11-51AI permits the award of a contract without public bidding. And whereas Angelo Cifelli Jr. Esquire, the law firm of Pyro, Zinnis, Cifelli, Paris, and Genetempo, 360 Passaic Avenue, Nutley, New Jersey, has submitted a proposal in the amount not to exceed $17,000. And whereas funds are available from account 1-01-012-205 and will be certified by the Chief Financial Officer, subject to the adoption of the 2021 municipal budget, said certification being attached to this resolution. And whereas the anticipated term of this contract is for 12 months from January 1, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. And whereas the law firm of Pyro, Zinnis, Cifelli, Paris, and Genetempo has completed and submitted a business entity disclosure certification, which certifies that they have not made any reportable disqualifying contributions to a political or candidate committee in the Township of Nutley in the previous 1 year, and that the contract will prohibit them from making any reportable contributions through the term of the contract. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Township of Nutley, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the mayor is hereby authorized to enter into a contract with Angelo Cifelli Jr., Esquire of the law firm of Pyro, Zinnis, Cifelli, Paris, and Genetempo as a professional service. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution, as well as the contract, shall be placed on file with the clerk of the Township of Nutley, and a notice in accordance with local public contracts law of New Jersey in the form attached hereto shall be published in the Nutley Sun. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. This is a resolution of the Township Commissioners of the Township of Nutley authorizing the engagement of Inglesino, Webster, Weissescala, and Taylor as counsel for the Township of Nutley concerning litigation related to the redevelopment of the former Hoffman LaRoche campus. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. Whereas the Department of Parks and Public Property has determined that there is a need for a new gym floor at 44 Park Avenue. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Township of Nutley, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the Township Clerk be and she is hereby authorized and directed to advertise sealed bids for a new gym floor at 44 Park Avenue. Specifications will be available as of April 15, 2021 in the Purchasing Department, Township Hall, 1 Kennedy Drive, Nutley, New Jersey. Be it further resolved that sealed bids are due by Wednesday, April 28, 2021, and should be addressed by the Municipal Clerk, Nutley Township Hall, 1 Kennedy Drive, Nutley, New Jersey, and sealed bids will be opened and read at 11 a.m. via Zoom, link to be posted on www.nutleyNJ.org. Before I move this, I just want to mention that this was a claim that was submitted on behalf of the Parks Department to our insurance carrier, and all of these dollars are from our insurance carrier. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. Whereas raffle applications have been received from the following organizations: Yanacor School PTO license number 821 for an off-premise merchandise raffle on Saturday, May 1st, 2021. The Anacostia School PTO license number 9-21 for an on-premise 50/50 cash raffle, also on Saturday, March 1st, 2021. HSA Washington School license number 1021 on-premise merchandise raffle Thursday, June 10th, 2021. And Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church license number 1121 for an off-premise 50/50 cash raffle on Saturday, September 18th, 2021. Whereas the applications have been reviewed and approved by the municipal clerk and the police department, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Township of Nutley, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the aforementioned licenses are approved and the municipal clerk is authorized to issue said licenses. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. This is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners authorizing and directing the Planning Board of the Township of Nutley to conduct a preliminary investigation of certain property within the township for potential development. The property includes 800 Bloomfield Avenue as designated in this resolution, 777 Bloomfield Avenue as designated, 413 Kingsland Street as designated, 243 Kingsland Street as designated, 241 Kingsland Street, Lot 3 on the tax map. Whereas the township believes the study area is potentially valuable for contributing to serving and protecting the public health, safety, and welfare, and for the promotion of smart growth within the township. And whereas the preliminary investigation will be designed to evaluate the area to determine whether designation of the study area as a condemnation area in need of redevelopment is appropriate in conformance with the statutory criteria contained in NJSA 40A 12A-5 of the redevelopment law. And whereas subject to the results of this investigation, the redevelopment area determination on a condemnation benefit basis, if so made by the Board of Commissioners, shall authorize the township to use all those powers on the local redevelopment housing law. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Township of Nutley that the Planning Board of the Township is hereby authorized and directed to conduct a preliminary investigation to determine whether the aforementioned study area or any portions thereof constitutes a condemnation area in need of redevelopment according to the criteria set forth in NJSA 4812A-5 of the redevelopment law. 2, the Planning Board of the Township is hereby authorized and directed to study the study area, to develop a map reflecting the boundaries of such proposed condemnation redevelopment area, to provide public notice and conduct public hearings pursuant to NJSA 4812A-6 of the redevelopment law, and to draft a report resolution to the Board of Commissioners containing its findings. 3, the result of such preliminary investigation shall be submitted to the Board of Commissioners for review and consideration in determining whether to declare the study area or any portion thereof a condemnation area in need of redevelopment in accordance with the provisions of NJSA 4812A-1, which declaration, if so made by the Board of Commissioners, shall authorize the township to use all those powers under the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 48:12A-1, including the use of eminent domain to acquire property within the study area. This resolution shall take effect immediately, but no sooner than as permitted by law. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. Be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Township of Nutley in the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, that the treasurer be and she is hereby authorized to refund payments for recreation programs in the amounts as listed below. 265 Park Avenue for a softball program in the amount of $45, 173 Passaic Avenue for a track program in the amount of $60, and 105 Raymond Avenue for a softball program in the amount of $45. I move the resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye. That concludes our business for this evening. We will now open the meeting up to the public.
Did we miss?
Madam Clerk?
Just one second. I think we missed the resolution. Yeah.
8421 has been deferred,
Oh,
Madam
I'm
Clerk.
sorry. Ready for public comment, Mayor? Is that what you said?
Yes.
All persons addressing the Board of Commissioners regarding community concerns should provide their name and address for the record. Unless further time is granted by the board, each person shall limit their address to 5 minutes. All remarks to the board and its individual members must be addressed to the mayor.
Rory Moore, 462 Chestnut Street. Mayor Tucci, I received an Oprah response recently and I have a few questions. Is the Ciccolini building up for sale right now?
No, sir, not to the best of my knowledge, it's not.
Is there a reason why it's not? I mean, Mr. Evans, I believe, alluded that in his presentation earlier for a possible investment. Is there any guidance that you can afford anybody? Are they going to sell the building eventually?
Mr. Moore, who are they that you're referring to? If you're referring to
You,
the Board of Commissioners?
The Board of Commissioners. I apologize, sir.
That's okay. I just wanted to be clear about that. As you're aware, the area was declared an area in need of rehabilitation, all right, and redevelopment, in particular, the Ciccolini portion and the lots associated with that, an area in need of redevelopment. So what is happening now is the Board of Commissioners and in association with all of our professionals are trying to determine what the highest and best use for that property is. But at this time, it is not for sale. Mr. Genetempo, would you like to add anything to that?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. What's going to happen is ultimately we are going to present a redevelopment plan at some point in time and find out from the development world who is interested in redeveloping that property. At one point or some point in time, there most likely will be a sale of the property, developing that property, putting it back on the tax rolls.
When you say the redevelopment, the property, are you referring just to the Ciccolini building? Because the report I received, it looked like there was a lot more redevelopment in that general area.
Other properties were declared in need of rehabilitation also, and there are certain tools that developers can use to help redevelop or rehabilitate those other properties. And they may also become part of the redevelopment area, depending on a developer's plan or desire to purchase other properties. But right now, the only area in need of redevelopment is the area of the Ciccolini's property.
And do you have any time frame for that?
We're working on that now, Mr. Moore. We don't have anything for public consumption yet, but hopefully soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Okay. We can hear him, right? Can you speak
Oh,
to the-
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, thank you. My name is Rob Garber. I live at 387 Hillside Avenue in Nutley. And I have a question about street repair. I was wondering if the township has a schedule for which streets are getting repaired when? And if so, how is it possible to see what that schedule is?
Commissioner Scarpelli?
This last name here.
Garber.
It's Garber, G-A-R-B as in
Garber,
boy, E-R.
We do have a schedule for street repair. What's been happening in town with public service and the areas that they are digging up for their gas main replacement. We've been working with them to make sure that we get fully paved from curb to curb for those areas that they are ripping up, for lack of a better word. And we're reluctant because we don't know the extent of their project to put good money into paving a road that public service the next year will come and rip up. So which section of Hillside Avenue are you at?
Actually, I'm not asking about Hillside Avenue. I'm asking specifically about Grant between Passaic
Oh.
Avenue and
Grant Avenue
Riverside.
is being funded by a New Jersey Department of Transportation grant. And both sections of Grant Avenue were delayed in being paved because of public service and their gas main replacement project. And they now will be paved in the next month.
Great. And may I also ask about Passaic Avenue between Park and Chestnut?
That's the same thing. That is public service is just done completing their gas main replacement project. we'll be working with them through the summer and fall to pave all those roads that they ripped up over the last 6 months.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's no one else, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I believe we have a need for another executive session.
Need
Okay,
a motion, please.
Second.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas the public body is of the opinion that such circumstances recently exist. And whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Nutley in the County of Essex and State of New Jersey desires to proceed to close executive session. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Nutley to move into closed executive session to discuss potential litigation, and contract negotiations. Be it further resolved that the time when such discussion may be disclosed to the public shall be when and such disclosure may be made without adversely affecting the Township of Nutley, pending and/or anticipated legal, personnel, contractual matters, and other matters within the exceptions provided for by statute. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
aye,
And the time is 9:55.
thank you. And Mr. Genatempo, we will not be taking any action as we exit this executive session. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
So we should close the public portion.
Other than adjournment.
Need a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Commissioner Kelly.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Petracco.
Aye.
Commissioner Scarpelli.
Aye.
Mayor Tucci.
Aye,
The time is 9:56.
thank you.